Hello, my name is Andrew O. Jackson. I created a two-part, eight-chapter video series titled The Personal Power of Chi, A Revolution in Sports Psychology, with the intent that athletes of all levels and abilities, and no matter what their sport, can understand, access, and actualize their evolutionary self of strength, speed, stamina, agility, reflexes, cunning, and success. Part 1, chapters 1 through 4, A Revolution in Sports Psychology, are about how good feeling emotions guide cognitive behavior towards a strong and powerful physiology necessary for sports competition. Parts 2, chapters 5 through 8, The Personal Power of Chi, are how the conscious energies of good feeling cognitive emotional behavior called Chi radiates throughout the quantum universe of the Tao and aligns the rendezvous of people, places, and events through time and space that match an athlete and coach's cognitive emotional state of being, where space is here and when time is now. Chapter 5, The Western Language of the Tao, is about how here in the West, in athletes and sports competition, we do have a language and linguistics of the conscious energy of Qi and the quantum universe of the Tao. This lecture presentation is an introduction to our language and power of Qi and the quantum universe of the Tao, and how these concepts are necessary and fundamental to the actualization and outcome of an athlete and coach's decisions and intentions in life, practice, and in competition on the field of play. Before we begin, I want to reiterate that the terms cognitive and cognition refers to activities and processes of awareness and knowing of the mind, such as perceiving, conceiving, remembering, reasoning, judging, imagining, and problem solving, where understanding and comprehension of thoughts, ideas, and beliefs can project future consequences and events. I also want to state that I group emotions, moods, attitudes, and feelings together because they either feel good as an evolved indicator of a healthy biochemical and neurological physiology, or feel bad as an evolved indicator of an unhealthy biochemical and neurological physiology. Does a coach or an athlete have the cognitive emotional awareness to understand that bad feeling emotions, moods, attitudes, and feelings are evolutionary indicators of a disempowering, disabling, and ineffective neurological and biochemical physiology? Does a coach or athlete have the cognitive emotional awareness to understand that bad feeling emotions, moods, attitudes, and feelings are leading indicators of an unwanted nor desired personal power of Qi that radiates through the Tao to align the intersection and the rendezvous of people, places, events that are not wanted, nor desired, nor intended? And then does the athlete or coach have the capacity to reprocess their disempowering, emotionally negative cognitions, especially during the heat of competition on the field of play, into empowering, emotionally positive cognitions that correlate with a healthy biochemical and neurological physiology and actualization through time and space of a superior world-class performance? The mountain exists as it does because we have been taught to believe it so. Rather than dwelling upon the different styles or families of wrestling, kung fu, wushu, tai chi, and their traditional forms, or within the style and tradition of any sport, East or West, I wish to emphasize the cognitive emotional energy of Qi behind the physicality of forms. Qigong is simply the cultivation of energy, of consciousness, called Qi. Any athlete or coach has a link to their conscious energy of Qi and its development through their own cognitive emotional dynamic awareness. Cognitive emotional mindfulness, that is, being aware of one's own cognitive activities and their associative emotions, moods, attitudes, and feelings, is the first step that opens the door to the Tao, the source of all things. The second step is to have the capacity to reprocess disempowering, feeling bad, emotionally negative cognitive activities into empowering, feeling good, emotionally positive cognitive activities that correlate with an athlete's evolutionary powers of strength, speed, stamina, agility, reflexes, cunning, and success. The first step is to be cognitive, emotionally aware. The second step is to have the capacity, that is, the skills, abilities, and understandings of cognitive, emotional reprocessing dynamics. And finally, the third step is to actually take the time and do the work to reprocess disempowering, feeling bad, emotionally negative cognitions into empowering, feeling good, emotionally positive cognitive activities that signify health, well-being, and effective and successful decision-making and its actualization. The Tao is a many-dimensional amorphous soup of potentialities from which our three-dimensional objective world of objects and linear cause and effect precipitates. I heard of a story of a person who came to the university from a tropical equatorial country during the winter snow and cold of Wisconsin in January. He looked over the open expanse in front of the Memorial Union and asked, "Why aren't there any homes built on that field?" Just as a person from the tropics did not comprehend a frozen lake, we in the West have little reference to what is common and part of everyday life in Eastern cultures, something called the Tao and the conscious energy and power of Qi. I grew up on a farm. One late summer night, I followed my dad out behind the barn to check to see how the corn crop for that year was doing. We were standing there looking at the corn, and he looked up and asked, "I wonder what is behind the stars." My mind kind of popped. Behind the stars, behind the stars. And then I realized that there was a universe behind the ceiling of stars. And you know what? That something was alive and conscious. That is when I first became aware of the Tao, the source of all things. That night, I had the beginning understanding that this physical world of objects around us is but a precipitant, like in chemistry, when a couple of liquids are mixed in a test tube and a solid materializes out of the mixture. This physical world around us is a materialization of the Tao, the quantum universe, as being realized in modern quantum mechanics. There is a Tao saying, "He who speaks of the Tao does not know, and he who knows the Tao cannot speak." Since this is a lecture presentation about the Tao, let me put it to you in this way. Do not fixate on the broken and mangled hand, for it is indeed a soreness to any beholder. The message is not within the hand, nor within the moon and stars at which it points, but rather lies within a living universe that surrounds us, known only through its quiet revelations. Awareness within the Tao is to be still, feel, and know. Knowing and awareness within the Tao is not your three-dimensional world of logic and reason with its linear cause and effect. The Tao is a multi-dimensional reality of spatial cause and effect where a future event can be causal to a past effect. This is called retrocausality, and this very real phenomenon has become a necessary ingredient of quantum mechanics. I referenced the article, Retrocausality in Quantum Mechanics, in the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, published June 3rd, 2019. Like in sailing and in life, it happens. I was crewing in an A-scow in a regatta. Our skipper got a lucky break on a wind shift, and we had led the fleet around the first mark. Unfortunately, the chute got twisted during the last takedown and went up with a knot, allowing the whole fleet to pass us. I was skippering our E-scow in a very light wind. The wind had shifted dramatically to the left, and everyone tacked immediately after rounding the leeward mark. On the rounding, I lost the main sheet, and out went the main, killing all momentum. And by the time I got it reeled back in, we were long past our tacking point. But because of this, we finished with just one tack, whereas the other boats had to tack again. We won that race due to my error. I was crewing on an M20 at the Inland Regatta. For the first time, we were beating the unbeatable Titans at the top of the fleet. On the last upwind, something happened and the two regatta leaders passed us. Then I noticed I must have kicked the mast rake out of its cleat, and because of that, we missed out on our chance to win an inland race. My wife and I were racing our I-20 in an inland regatta. First, we went to the wrong course. Then, while reaching to the correct course, I noticed the starboard spinnaker sheet was on the inside of the side stay. I gave the tiller to Barbie, and while we were rushing to the race, I undid the side stay, got the sheet on the outside, reattached the side stay, switched place with Barbie just in time to round the pin and the start on the gun. That race was the only inland race we ever won. The stories can go on and on about unfortunate and fortunate happenings. These events seem to raise the question, why? Why does it happen to me? Life is a rendezvous of people, places, and events. It happens. But why does it happen? It all depends on your mountain. What were you taught? 1, I am just the victim of the forces around me, the laws of motion and linear cause and effect, or the aggression of others. Or maybe 2, I determined it because it was my decision and choices I made. But what about that gust of wind that just happened to spin us out into another boat? Was it God's will or the work of the devil? Did it happen because of my past life's karma? Was it an accident, chance, luck, or fortune? Or are there other cause and effect principles that we have not yet realized or understand? When joy and good feelings permeate your life, practice and competition, good things happen. That is the way of the Tao. Think of the basketball games that were played in the NC2A and NIT all through March Madness. Is a team being joyful because they are successful, or are they successful because they are joyful? Maybe they attain their success because they preserve their joyous and positive state of being no matter what the circumstances. Sailors would ask Olympic gold medalist and international champion Buddy Melgus for advice, and we all joke around at his answer. Get into the lead and extend it. When you learn something about intent and the Eastern tradition and quantum reality of the Tao and the conscious energy of Qi that reaches through time and space, you may understand the wisdom behind that answer. Sailing has its own language. My wife complains that there are 2 words for everything and the same word is used for 2 things. To the layperson and an uninitiated, it is a hidden language. What understandings do these words portray? Which, chart plotter, multi-gauge, compass, iron sail, centerboard, cleat, lead block, cowl, vent, side stays, lines, flotation cushion, whisker pull, stanchion. There's also a hidden language of the quantum universe. What might it be? Like the telltale indicates the movement of the invisible wind, we have a linguistics that recognizes the reality of the Tao and the existence of a hidden energy, power, and force of consciousness called Qi. We do have a hidden language of the Tao, and sports and athletic competition make a perfect background to talk of its influence and reality. Every sports announcer uses terms like energy, momentum, feeling it, luck, getting hot, going cold, swag, confidence, in the zone, synergy. And I've added a few more like mojo, intuition, personal power, and law of attraction. The time has come to get these terms and others out of their black box and into a workable cognitive construct that can be used as a performing enhancing substance to achieve success. I use the term quantum universe of the Tao because the concepts in quantum mechanics, like entanglement, spooky action at a distance, and its concepts of time and retrocausality relate to the universe known as the Tao. I see the Eastern construct of the Tao and the developing Western construct of a quantum universe as equivalent. To understand one is to understand the other. An individual's outward reality and experience are but a reflection of their inner cognitive emotional being. On a beautiful summer day with light winds, my wife and I were sailing along the north shore of Lake Huron in the North Channel. I spotted a speeding cabin cruiser on a plane headed in our direction, but paid it no mind. This was a busy time of year, and we were continually in some sort of boat traffic throughout the day. A moment later, I glanced abeam, and that speeding cruiser now appeared to be on a collision course with us. As a precaution, I told Barbie to get out the air horn. Seconds later, she was loudly sounding out our presence, and I was shouting, trying to get the skipper's attention. But there was nobody at the helm. A person came out from below. Aghast, he yanked the wheel, and all I remember is his white hull and a deluge of water from his wake soaking us wet. I have no idea how he missed us or how he missed the dinghy we were pulling behind, but he did. We were lucky. But the vision of a 35-foot boat slamming at 25 to 30 knots into our side, sending us to the bottom, and the remaining debris floating on the surface, a last testament to our life on Earth, weighed continually on my mind for the rest of the summer. After 4 summers of cruising Lake Huron, that was the last. At summer's end, we loaded up North Star, our 1979 Tartan 27, onto her trailer and took her to our home, Lake Mendota, in Madison, Wisconsin. Enjoying life is necessary for the actualization of that which is wanted, desired, and intended. If an athlete or coach wants, desires, and intends to succeed in sports competition and to have a successful world-class performance, they must enjoy themselves. For within their joy lies their conscious energy of chi that radiates out through time and space, the past and future, and molds, shapes, and transforms the amorphous superpotentialities of the Tao into the team's experience in the present. The mind shapes reality. Emotions indicate the desirability of that shape. When joy and good feelings permeate your life, practice, and competition, good things happen. I wish you all a successful and joyous life. It is all there for you to enjoy and to make whatever you desire, want, and intend. Namaste.